You won't believe what happened to Marlon Wayans. Losing his parents completely shattered him. It wasn't just grief, it was a storm that hit him again and again. In just 3 years, he lost 58 people he loved. His mother, his father, his close friends, gone. And this is where it gets interesting, because instead of breaking down, he did something no one expected. Marlon always made people laugh, but this time he was drowning in sadness. His mother, Elvira, passed away in July 2020. That loss alone would have been enough to destroy anyone. But then, in April 2023, his father, Howell, passed too. That's when everything hit him at once. He looked around and realized his world was changing in a way he never imagined. He wasn't just grieving his parents. He was losing pieces of his past, one by one. And the craziest part, he compared it to something biblical, like a test from above. At first, he didn't know how to handle it. He admitted that losing his mother shattered him into a million pieces. She was his everything. He never got married, never wanted any woman to take her place in his heart. And when she was gone, he felt like a part of him disappeared too. It wasn't just pain, it was confusion, emptiness, and a feeling that life would never be the same again. But here's the shocking part. Instead of letting that pain swallow him, he did something unexpected. He turned his grief into comedy. Yes, you heard that right. The pain that almost broke him became the foundation of his fourth special, Good Grief. He found a way to laugh through the worst moments of his life. But here's where it gets even more unbelievable. He didn't just do it for himself. He did it for everyone who had lost someone. He believed that humor was the only way to survive the darkest times. But not everyone agreed. Some people thought it was too soon, that he was making light of something too painful. Others saw it as genius. And just when you think you've heard it all, there's more to this story than you could ever imagine. But let me tell you, this is where it gets even more interesting. Marlon didn't just lose his parents, he lost something deeper. His sense of who he was completely changed. For years, he was a son first. No matter how famous he got, no matter how many movies he made, he always had his parents to call, to visit, to remind him where he came from. But after they were gone, he looked in the mirror and realized he was different. "I don't have parents anymore," he admitted. "Now I'm a man." And that one sentence held so much weight. He had spent his whole life making people laugh, but now he understood life in a new way. He started praying more, not just as a habit, but because he felt like when he prayed, he was talking to his parents, he told them everything, he imagined they were still listening, and in a way that comforted him. But the craziest part, even with all that pain, he still believed he had to keep laughing. That's when Good Grief was born. At first, it was just an idea, a way to deal with his emotions. But as he started working on it, he realized something shocking. This wasn't just comedy, it was therapy. Every time he stepped on stage, he wasn't just telling jokes. He was releasing pain. The special was filled with humor, but hidden inside those laughs were some of the deepest truths he had ever shared. He talked about death, loss, and heartbreak, but in a way that made people smile. He knew that if he could laugh at it, maybe others could too. And then there was Chadwick Boseman. His death hit Marlon hard. Losing a friend at such a young age made everything feel even more real. "It's crazy when you think about how many people have passed," he said. "It was almost too much to process." But instead of running from it, he faced it head on. He turned those feelings into stories, jokes, and raw emotional moments. And this is where it gets even more shocking. He wasn't just making people laugh, he was making them feel. Some people loved it, others weren't sure how to react. Was he going too far? Was he making fun of something too painful? Or was he doing something no one else dared to do, turning grief into art? Either way, one thing was clear. Marlon Wayans had changed forever. But here's where it gets even crazier. Marlon didn't just use comedy to survive, he started seeing grief in a way most people never could. He believed that if he could laugh at his worst moments, then nothing in life could ever truly break him. And that's exactly what he did. But this is where the controversy started. Not everyone was ready to laugh about death. Some people thought he was being disrespectful. that he was making jokes about things that should never be joked about. But Marlon, he saw it differently. Pain is universal, he said. If we can cry together, we should be able to laugh together too. And this is what made his special so different. It wasn't just about loss, it was about survival. But let me tell you, this is where things took an unexpected turn. Marlon admitted that after his parents passed, he started living differently. He didn't just appreciate life more, he understood it differently. He looked back at his childhood, his career, his relationships, and suddenly everything made sense. He realized that grief doesn't just change you, it reveals you. And the craziest part, he felt like, in some strange way, his parents were still guiding him. He spoke about moments where he could almost hear his mother's voice, reminding him to be strong. He felt his father's presence in the way he carried himself. "I miss them dearly," he said, "but I'm growing in ways I never thought I would." And that growth was terrifying but also freeing. He was no longer the same Marlon Wayans the world had known. He was stepping into a new version of himself, one that wasn't afraid to talk about real pain, real loss, and real emotions. But this is where it gets even more shocking. Marlon didn't just want to make people laugh anymore. He wanted to make them feel. He wanted his audience to walk away thinking about their own lives, their own grief, and maybe even finding a way to heal through it. This wasn't just another comedy special. It was a message, a challenge, a reminder that no matter how much pain life throws at you, you always have two choices. Let it destroy you or turn it into something powerful. And Marlon, he chose to turn it into laughter. But here's the craziest part. Marlon knew that not everyone would understand what he was doing. Some would laugh, some would cry, and some would question if he had gone too far, but he didn't care. He wasn't doing this for approval. He was doing this because he had to. Grief wasn't something he could escape, so he faced it head on, with humor as his weapon. And the results? They were beyond anything he expected. When Good Grief was finally finished, Marlon felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: relief. For the first time since his parents passed, he could breathe. He had turned his pain into something real, something that mattered. But the most shocking thing, his special wasn't just about him, it was for everyone who had ever lost someone they loved. He wanted people to see that grief wasn't the end, it was just another part of the journey. But here's where it gets interesting. Marlon said that despite all the jokes, despite all the laughter, there were moments in the special where the pain hit him. Moments where, even in front of an audience, he could feel the weight of everything he had lost. And he didn't run from it. He embraced it. "I still hurt," he admitted. "But man, I rescued myself." And that was the message he wanted to leave with people. No matter how broken you feel, you can survive. And then he said something that left everyone speechless. He believed that grief had made him better, not just as a comedian, but as a person. He had grown in ways he never thought possible. He had learned how to turn his worst moments into something powerful. And most importantly, he had learned that laughter wasn't just entertainment, it was survival. So now the question is, did Marlon Wayans cross the line? Or did he prove that laughter is the only way to truly heal? One thing is for sure. Good Grief isn't just another comedy special. It's a story of pain, resilience, and the power of finding humor in the darkest moments of life. And whether people love it or hate it, one thing is certain: Marlon Wayans has changed forever.